Hello everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk about how to set up for your online lesson so you can make the most out of it. Online lesson is a very new method of teaching that's been getting more and more attention since pandemic. And there has been a lot of skepticism, which is totally understandable. Even I was very skeptic about the method before pandemic because how are you gonna teach a student who's not here? Is technology good enough? But during pandemic, we are all forced to stay home, and the choices were either stop taking lessons or go online. So since then, I've been experimenting a lot, and through my YouTube channel, I started gaining more and more online students. But as I do more and more online lessons and experiment with new technologies, I've been finding it to be a lot more viable than I thought. And in some aspects, it's even better than in-person lesson. So much so that I got confident enough to open my own online studio, where my students from all over the world are making steady progress at their own pace in the comfort of their own home. But it is true there are some challenges in online lessons, and the key to overcome any of those is to set up in a way that you can hear and see each other like you're in the studio. So today, I'm going to share the setup that I recommend to all of my students, but you can use it for any online music lessons. Some of the setups, you don't even need any additional investment. And if you wanna make it more realistic, then you can get some equipment to do so. So I'm going to share all of those different levels of setup so you can choose which one's best for you. But before I start, as always, I wanna say huge thank you to my patrons on patreon.com and YouTube members. Your support has been huge help as I try to spread my knowledge and experience through my online activities. And if you're kind enough to support me for $3 or $10 per month, I'll leave the link to my Patreon page in the description. You can also support me directly from YouTube from right here. Alright, let's start. So the first and the most basic setup is just a laptop. Now I have all these fancy equipments here because I do online lessons regularly with double screen and everything, but you don't need any of these, just a laptop with a webcam. You can even use a desktop if you can manage to put it on the side of the piano like this. But most people these days have a laptop and a desk or anything else that will prop it up so that it'll be at the right spot. And why on the side of the piano? Because it'll look like this. So for online lessons, I want the view from the side where I can see your keys and your arms and upper body. And you're gonna have to turn around to show your pretty face. But that's how it is in the real lessons. I'm not gonna be sitting on top of the piano or above you or behind you. I'm gonna be sitting next to you or standing next to you. So I will only see the side of you anyway. And you're gonna have to turn around to talk to me. So this is the most natural viewing angle for me as a teacher. And as an experienced teacher, if I see you from the side like this and playing, I can tell majority of what's going on with your playing. So now that I explained what viewpoint and angle I want for the online lessons, let's talk about the sound. Because if I can't hear you, I'm not going to be able to teach you very well. Zoom is mainly designed for online conferences where it needs to pick up people's voice and take everything else away from the background. But for music lessons, I want that background sound. I want to hear your piano and not your voice. Well, I mean, your voice is important, but as we do the lessons, your piano sound is very, very important. And if I can't hear how you're sounding, I cannot give you good advice. And Zoom has a feature for that. So it normally tries to take off all the background sound, including piano. But when you turn on original sound for musicians, I will be able to hear everything your microphone's picking it up. So I'll show you how to set that up. So in your meeting, if you go to the left bottom corner, there's a triangle right next to the mute button. You click that, and then at the bottom you see audio settings. Click that. Now you're in the audio settings. Now if you go down toward the middle, a little lower than the middle, there is this thing called audio profile. And the third choice from there is the original sound for a musician. You turn that on, scroll down, high fidelity music mode. You turn that on. This uses a little more computer power, but makes the sound so much more authentic. Second choice of echo cancellation. Now, if you're using headphones like I would recommend later, then you can turn this off because you don't need echo cancellation. If you are not using headphones, then you need this, otherwise I will hear the echo. And stereo audio. If you have stereo microphones, then turn that on. If you don't, turn that off. In most cases, either way it works. Most microphones are not stereo, but some of them are. If your computer's not struggling, I would just leave these two choices on. When you close out, now you will see an option at the top that says original sound for musician off or on. You want to click that and turn it on. When you do this, I will be able to hear everything that your microphone's picking up, including the piano sound, without Zoom making any changes to the sound at all. And that's what's really crucial sound-wise for online lessons. So this is me using my laptop's microphone with original sound setting off. There you go. And you probably heard my voice okay, but then as soon as I started playing piano, it probably changed the sound quality to something that sounds like you're in underwater. Now I turned on the original sound, but still the same microphones. You can hear my mistake as well. Before I change the camera angle, I forgot to mention, for the main device for the online lesson, you cannot use Android, iPad, or whatever the mobile device, or Chromebook, because they're great for day-to-day tasks, but not so great for online lessons. We've tried so many times with different students' devices, and none of the mobile devices provided as good sound quality as laptops. It's just the way it is. They're just meant for normal purposes, but not for online lessons that requires just a pure sound signal. So the next level setup is to add secondary camera like this. Now in my case, I'm using an iPad, but you can use Android or any other devices that has camera and zoom. After logging in with your main laptop, you can simply log on with a secondary device. Now I'm using just a tripod and an iPad. And I'll put the link to mounting devices I'm using, but you can just get anything from Amazon that'll hold your iPad or whatever device you're gonna use. And the purpose for this is to provide me another view. You set up a laptop on one side, and then you set this up on the other side so you can provide a view like this. So you set this up on the other side from the laptop, slightly looking down onto the keys, so I can see the hands and a little bit of arms. And if you can put the entire keyboard in the view, that's even better. With this setup, I can see your playing not from one side, but from both sides. In regular in-person lessons, I'll be sitting on one side of you, but then if I need to see the other side, I will walk around. But in this setup, I can actually see both sides at the same time. As you can see, I will be able to see both of your hands at the same time, how they're moving, which is a luxury I don't have in in-person lesson. So as far as the camera view goes, that's all I need, 2 devices. I had some students who set up an overhead camera, which I do have it, but you don't need to set that up as a student. Because again, I'm not gonna be floating above you to get that bird's eye view unless your teacher's a bird. Now, bird's eye view will be very convenient if you wanna know what keys they're playing, but if I hear you and can't tell what keys you're playing, I probably shouldn't be teaching anyway. So if I can hear you clearly and I can see how your hands are moving from both sides, that's all I ever get in in-person lesson anyway. And that's enough for me to figure out what's going on with your playing. But one thing I want you to be careful is when you add a secondary device, you're gonna have to turn off the microphones and speaker of that device right away. Because if you have 2 sets of devices sending the sound and also playing back the sound, it causes something called looping. and it's gonna cause terrible noise. So as soon as you're getting a lesson session with your secondary device, you're gonna mute the microphone and turn off all the volume like this. So when you're connected, what you just heard is what I was talking about. So when you get in, immediately tap the screen and go to More Disconnect Audio. Also, if you see this option, then you just click No Audio and you're all set. And now your device's audio is completely turned off and it's just functioning as a camera. If you're taking regular online lessons and want to get most out of it, then I would really recommend having headphones and good microphone. Now, laptop microphones are okay as long as you have original sound on, but they're not really meant to deliver the beautiful sound of piano. But if you add a microphone like this is called Yeti X. And this is a great microphone for very reasonable price. And I'll leave the link to this microphone in the description. Now I switched my microphone to Yeti X and original sound on. So this is the best setup that I know that's not too expensive to set up. Again, my Turkish march that I haven't practiced for maybe years is showing in some impurity. And this is how it should sound like so that I can hear what's going on and then give you advice to fix it. Now here's my hand on. So if you're taking online lessons mainly, which sound do you want your teacher to hear? It can be any other microphone, but I recommend this because it's so easy to use and the quality is great. All you have to do is put this on your piano like this and connect it with a USB cable and your computer will recognize it. And you can also connect the headphones at the bottom of the microphone and that'll deliver the sound to your ears. Now you probably know why you need a good microphones to deliver good sound, but why headphones? Now headphones are there to prevent echo. So what happens is normally your speaker's playing the sound from my side, but also your microphone is picking up what the speaker is playing. And Zoom software is getting rid of what the speaker is playing from the sound the microphone's catching. But in the process, some of the sound quality is lost. So if you use headphones, and if the microphone's not catching the sound from the speaker, you can turn off the echo cancellation from earlier. That'll further reduce the sound processing, and the sound I'm gonna hear from you will be more authentic. Of course, you can use earbuds and other devices, but do not use the wireless product because they delay the sound and your experience is gonna be a little off. And the headphones I really recommend is this. I'm gonna leave the description to this as well, but this is called an open-end headphones. I don't know if you can see, but this part is actually a mesh. So I can actually put this on and hear my piano like I'm wearing nothing. Normal headphones will block the piano sound, so it's gonna be hard for you to play while wearing it. And earbuds, the same story. But this one, you can just hear all around you while hearing your teacher's voice. And that's a great thing for the online lessons. So I highly recommend using open headphones for your online lessons. And that's it. That's pretty much all I need from the student side. So pretty much the only thing I would recommend investing if you're taking regular lessons and you're committed to it is a good microphone and a headphone. Now I'm going to talk about my setup briefly to show you what I have to provide the best online lessons so far. So this is my online lesson kiosk. The main thing is I have two monitors so I can see both of your camera views at the same time and take records if I need to hear. I have the same Yeti microphone and headphone setup that I introduced earlier, but the only difference is I have three cameras. I have camera number 1 so I can talk to you and also demonstrate from the side view. But if I want you to see a different view, then I'll switch to this camera. This is a handy camera, so I can move it anywhere I want. I can place it on the piano like this, so you can see the close-up shot of my hand. Or I can put it on the other side so you can see my thumb shape. A lot of people have questions about how you use your thumb. Or I can lift it up and show you the paper music if I really need to point to a certain thing. So this camera is pretty handy. And even though I said I don't need to see your hands from bird's eye view from above, I myself have an overhead camera. So you can see my hand from above like a bird. See how I'm using my thumb to play turkeys? I don't really use the overhead camera that much, but it's a really good thing to have in case that will give you a better idea rather than seeing from the sides. Again, the feature you don't get in in-person lesson unless you are a bird. So these are the setups I recommend for online lessons. First, just a laptop and original sound setting. And that'll be enough for initial consultation and quick questions. And in case I need a view from the other side, I can ask you to just move your laptop. But if you add a secondary camera, most of people these days have a mobile device with camera, and that'll do. That'll let me see your hands from both sides at the same time, which is even better than in-person lesson where I can only see one side at a time. And for those who are really committed to online lessons, I would recommend a little bit of investment for the microphone and headphones. I have several regular students who are using these setups, and lessons are going great. This will allow me to teach people who I will never be able to teach otherwise effectively, and I'm actually seeing a lot of progress. In my last video, I said, well, online lessons are better than nothing or better than taking teachers who don't know what they're doing. But nowadays, I have more and more confidence in online lessons. Not to the point that I will switch completely online yet, but who knows, in the future, technology is always advancing. There might be better way for me to show things to the students. Anyway, that's it for today's lesson. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I will put the links to the product I showed you during the presentation in the description of this video. If you're interested in one-on-one sessions with me, I'll leave the link to my online studio website where you can make an appointment. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!